Hi, and welcome back to the Mind Life Flow channel. I'm Dr. Patrick Kingsep, and what I'd like to do is to talk to you a little bit about motivation and putting motivation into the mental garbage bin, as well as the 6-second rule. Now, one of the more common problems or difficulties that I hear about is the perpetual battle with, drum roll please, motivation. And we all struggle with this from time to time, and some of us more than others. Now, what I'm going to propose to you is that waiting for the motivation to arrive is rubbish. It's garbage. Don't do it. Now, let's put this into the mental garbage bin right now. First, we need a little background. Now, there are two types of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic. Now, extrinsic being from outside of yourself and intrinsic coming from inside of you. Now, coaches and trainers and bosses or another person who's pushing you to change, those are all extrinsic motivators. Intrinsic motivation then is the force that comes from your own willpower. Now, the extrinsic motivation that comes from a source outside of you generally has a good chance of working. But if you've ever failed at sustaining motivation on your own, you might already suspect that what's been thought about the intrinsic motivation for all these years might be flawed. Now, why motivation is rubbish? Now, when it comes to making changes in your life, and change usually involves a degree of motivation, it's important to understand the science behind intrinsic motivation from inside of ourselves, and why I call this rubbish. When you stop and think about what change requires, it requires you to do things that they're scary, sometimes unpleasant, you're uncertain about it, or they're just new. And here's the problem. You may never feel ready or motivated to do the things that are scary, uncertain, unpleasant, or challenging. And if you can accept that as the reality, you now have the secret to change. Much of the time when we say things like, I just can't get out of bed that early in the morning, or I just can't seem to get moving to find a new job, we are saying that we won't feel like doing these things. After all, no one is tying you to your bed every morning. I hope not. And there is no one blocking you from searching for jobs in the paper or online. Physically, nothing is stopping you. You just don't feel like it. But the important message here is, why do you need to feel like doing it? Why can't you just start doing it anyways? When did we start thinking that to be motivated and get things done, we need to feel like we want to take action? We need to be eager to get started. Now, believe me, you can get started on doing something, making a change in your life without feeling like doing it. But you do it anyway. Does this make sense? Can you relate to this when you've attempted to do something new in your life? Knowing that you don't feel like it or don't feel motivated, but still push yourself to create change, it's empowering. It's also the first step in doing the things you don't want to do, but know you need to do it anyways. So if you're sitting there putting something off because you don't feel like it, remember that you don't need to feel like it. There's nothing stopping you, is there? Think about this. Successful people are not achieving great things simply because they're motivated. They're creating change and making life happen because they make a conscious decision to show up and put the work in every single day. Now, one last point to remember, often when we make the change and start something new, this then leads to intrinsic motivation to keep doing it. We see the rewards, the changes made in our life, and then we feel the inner motivation to keep going. Now, deciding to expand your life. Now, easier said than done, right? So how do these people decide to show up and put the necessary actions and behavioral changes into place? We all have the power inside of us to do this, whether you call it your gut instinct or your gut intuition, heart-based decision or inner wisdom. This is what we use to inspire change. But people often ask me, how do you know if the decision you're making is based on your inner wisdom or fear? Now, fear makes the decision feel restrictive. It will shrink your world. That's why I advise that when you come to any decision you need to make, a fork in the road, so to speak, forget about whether or not you feel motivated. Instead, ask yourself, does this decision to do this expand my life, or does it shrink it? Now, if the answer to that is that it expands your life, then your answer is to move towards it and to make it happen. Sure, a decision may be scary or uncomfortable. As we mentioned before, change of any kind usually has some degree of uncertainty attached to it. But if the action and then the change that follows expands your life and taps into your potential, it's the right decision. It's only after you have to make the decision that you need to use your head to plan how to make that change happen responsibly. So don't wait for your motivation to kick in before you step towards a life change. This often expands after you've made several or many steps towards your chosen life change. As you see your life growing, that's when motivation usually starts, and you are on your way to great things. Now take 5 seconds to change your life. Now you're thinking, 5 seconds? What do you mean? Now we often get hung up in moments of decision in our lives. Do I go to the gym or stay on the couch? Do I stay in this relationship or do I break it off? Do I look for a new job or stay with my current one? This is where fear and doubt often raises its head and comes up with endless questions and comments that stop us in our tracks and keep us from moving forward and creating change. And that's that restriction in life I mentioned earlier. It's normal to feel a little afraid or experience some self-doubt when making decisions in your life. But allowing these things to stop you is a choice and often means giving in to the fear. However, there is a different way to view this fear, and this is the body and mind's way of clanging the bells loudly and trying to get your attention by putting you on full alert. It may be the exact change of direction you need to take, and this means pushing the fear aside and getting it done. Now, I'm sure we've all heard of the best-selling book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. Now, this is what we need to do. Have you ever wondered why it's so difficult to make the changes in your life that you know deep down will improve your life and perhaps solve a problem, or even two? Well, it's because of our emotions, our feelings. We often make big decisions in life based on our feelings. Does it feel good or doesn't it feel good? We usually do not put our logic first. You may feel a certain way, but you can still choose how to act, what you do. Our feelings in the moment of potential change or question are seldom aligned with what's best for us. We often choose based on what feels easier or more comfortable, rather than thinking medium to longer term. Your feelings will make your decision well before you catch on that this has occurred. Imagine deciding you wish to get out of bed 30 minutes earlier in the morning. When your alarm goes off, you may be thinking, you feel like staying in bed. It's warm. This feels nice. I feel good. But you can still decide to get up and moving despite this. Now I want you to read the following sentence slowly that's on the screen in just a moment. I want you to read it slowly to yourself and fully digest the meaning before moving forward. Your entire life is defined by what you do in the gap between your initial question to yourself, do I get out of bed and go walking? Should I raise my hand in the meeting and speak up? And your decision to act or not. This gap is about 6 seconds long. There is a 6-second gap between moments of inspiration and fear shutting it down. There's also a 6-second gap between confidence and self-doubt. The 6-second gap determines if we expand or shrink in life. And when you realize you can use that gap, the 6-second gap, to make decisions that grow your life, you now have the secret to tapping into your potential and changing your life. You can also use this gap several times throughout the day, every time that doubt and fear creeps back in. And you know they will. You keep using the 6-second rule to plow on in a forward direction towards your positive change you wish to make. Try it for yourself. Now let's get practical with this 6-second rule. Think about one area of your life that you're struggling to change, or one habit you're trying to adopt. Maybe you want to try walking for 15 minutes before work in the morning, or you want to do some research into new employment opportunities. You would break this idea down into smaller concepts and answer this question. What is one 6-second decision you can make every day that will help you encode that new habit? That 6-second decision happens when you don't give in to the self-doubt you experience when trying to take action. It's too cold outside to walk this morning. I think I need more sleep in a bed instead of walking. In other words, the moment you sense self-doubt or hesitation invading your thoughts, count backwards from 6 and then spring into action. In this case, get out of bed and get moving. You now have the basis of the 6-second rule. Don't give yourself the time to make excuses and create self-doubt. Count down from 6 and take action. Or if you struggle to set boundaries, try using this 6-second rule to help you say no. Let's say a coworker frequently offloads his or her work to you. If you're a people pleaser, you're likely enabling them to keep doing this by saying yes. Enter the 6-second rule. The next time your coworker approaches you, take a deep breath and count 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and say no. Not reacting immediately interrupts your habit of saying yes to this person and allows you to make a 6-second decision that can change your life. Or maybe you want to start working on your passion project, but you always make excuses when you get home tired from work. If it's a priority to you, as soon as you come home, sit down in front of your computer, count backwards from 6, and get started. But here's the trick. You have to count backwards. When you count backwards, you engage your prefrontal cortex, which helps you beat the excuses. Now you've taken a step toward overriding all of those habits that have kept you stuck in the first place. And I know it sounds simple and quite possibly too good to be true. I know we've heard that one before. But it works. If you can come up with a 6-second decision every day that's aligned with this new habit, you'll have action, and that will lead to success. What do you think? This is your biggest goal right now. Or what habits are you trying to change? Do you consider yourself motivated or unmotivated? Is it liberating to realize that you don't need to rely on motivation? What 6-second choices will you start to implement in your life? And that really is a question. So please ask yourself this. Now, thanks very much for listening, and I do hope this has been useful at looking at intrinsic, extrinsic motivation, the 6-second decision-making tool. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the Mind Life Flow channel. And remember to push the bell notification button, as then you'll be notified when I release new videos, if you want to watch them. Thanks very much. Bye for now.